One thing about it, you dark skinned. You hear me?
Yeah.
Let me tell you why Kodak say he don't fuck with dark skinned girls. Me too. I like any girl, but I stay away from dark skinned girls.
Why y'all like dark skinned girls?
First of all, y'all too violent.
Bro,
am I right or wrong?
Shut the fuck up.
Because
No.
listen, a light-skinned girl, if you just touch her like this, she will get bruised. So she don't like to get hit. Like, she don't like to wrestle, none of that, because little shit bruise her. Yeah. A dark-skinned girl, she so black, you don't see no bruise. So she trying to real deal thump your ass.
I ain't that black, though.
I'm talking about she putting up to the black girls. Light-skinned girls scared to pull up to the projects and come grab their nigga. You know what I'm saying? Too much niggas trying to holler at them doing the most. Black girls coming up to the projects, getting they nigga.
Nigga, they pulling up, nigga.
Key in the car, all that. Breaking windows. Nigga ain't got time for that, man. Breaking my window, trying to fight your homeboy, getting off on your homeboy. Put that nigga. Nah, man. Now you in a situation with your homeboy, you don't know what to tell him because your girls will punch him in his shit. You like, damn, bro. Nah, man.
Hey, yeah, huh?
I don't like black girls, bro. I like light-skinned girls because, like, they just so, they just so pretty and just so gentle. Like, they just so soft. Like, for real, they like, you just wanna love them so much. Like, a dark-skinned girl, she just wanna take care of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, she gonna go get it with you. She gonna get out there, fight with you, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's his perks, you know what I'm saying? But I prefer light-skinned girl because I'm too black, and I don't want no black-ass baby, dog.
Yeah, that's the same. I don't know if you fuck with Bub, but I know y'all from the same state, but that's the same thing. What's that nigga name?
You say who?
What's that nigga name? Glock 9. That's the same thing dude said.
He said what?
He said he was like he hella black or whatever. He want a light skin bitch or whatever.
Yeah,
and when he had a baby, he
I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I'm too black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my girl, not even light skin. She yellow. She damn near. If you see her, you might think she white until you pull up and see her. Then she got green eyes, natural green eyes. So I'm talking about my baby gonna look so raw.
What she mixed with?
She mixed with sexy as fuck.
That nigga stupid.
You ain't never heard that mix before.
Nah, I didn't.
Sexy as fuck.
Nope.
What? I'm so mad.
What is this?
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. So I want to come through and give my thoughts and opinions and critiques on what the rapper Jackboy said in a video. And I believe that this happened about at least 10 months ago. So it's not like super recent, but nevertheless, it's very much applicable and valid. So just a little bit of background information about the rapper Jackboy. So Jackboy is a Haitian American rapper from Florida. And he's cool with Kodak Black. I heard that he signed to Kodak Black as well. So right there already, there's like a whole bunch of red flags popping off, right? Right. But nevertheless, though, so this is the first time I've heard, at least vocally, that, someone associating particularly darker skinned black women with violence. That's somewhat new for me, but sadly it's not surprising, when you really think about it, right? My question right off the bat is, if dark-skinned or darker-skinned black women are violent, then are darker-skinned black men violent too? Perhaps that would explain you know, black men's or some black men's, especially darker skinned black men's interaction with the police. You know, it may explain why you do see more violence occurring with black men who are involved in law enforcement confrontations, right? Since we're saying this group is violent and this group is violent, right? But, you know, that's another story in itself. Right? But, you know, that seems to be how society views black men in general, especially, you know, identifiably black men, aka darker skinned black men. And I think that really, to an extent, like Jackboy, the rapper, he may just be projecting onto dark skinned black women, at least to an extent. And he also mentioned that light skinned women, he really said girls, he was saying girls throughout the video, but you know, light skinned women bruise easily. They don't fight or they don't fight back. Interesting. So it sounds like he might just want a weak doormat, right? That may be a part of it too. You know, the darker skinned sisters, they ain't gonna be tolerating the bullshit. They're gonna be popping off and fighting back, right? But the light skinned girls, the light skinned sisters, you know, they'll take it. You know, they'll just tolerate it. They'll take them the hits and the bruises and, you know, pretty much be a human doormat, right? And of course, I don't really think that is necessarily true on both ends. I do think that there are probably some light-skinned women who will, you know, pop off and let dude know what's up. And then I'm sure there are some darker-skinned women who probably will not. It just depends, really. It just depends on, you know, the personality and the type of person that the person is. But apparently the skin tones, for some people, are just the determining factor in their behavior, right? That's it, right? um, but, you know, this does bring up a bit of a situation right quick since we're talking about violence and black women, especially darker skinned black women. It does make me want to bring up the situation right quick with, again, Megan Thee Stallion, right? Because right now, that seems to be something that's being circulated like, oh, she must have gotten violent with Tory Lanez, right? That's something that's been pushed a lot by, particularly in the black community, right? Oh, she must have gotten violent with Tory Lanez. You know, she was cursing at him, yelling at him, screaming at him, you know, hitting him. You know, she's 5'10", he's 5'3", right? Thus, low-key trying to justify Tory Lanez allegedly shooting her, right? And then also, right, the comedian Jess Not Hilarious, aka Troutmouth Jess, made a joke about the situation after seeing how people got at Drea Michelle for making a joke about the situation as well. So I'm like, well, Jess Not Hilarious, are you just the idiot? Because I'm like, you already seen how they going at Drea, and I think that she got her sponsorship deal snatched from her from Fenty Savage. I think that's the name of the company. But I think her sponsorship deal was taken away from her over that statement. So I'm like, okay, you seen how Drea Michelle getting, you know, dragged, right? And you gonna jump in and do the same thing, if not worse, really. Eh, eh. Like, are you that desperate and hungry for clout and attention? Did you really think this was going to, lead into some great business opportunity or something? Like, are you just that stupid? Like, why would you jump into that? Seeing how things are playing out already with Dre and Michelle, why would you jump into that bullshit, right? But apparently, Troutmouth just thought this was just the funniest thing ever to do, so that's why she did it. And I don't know what's going to happen with Troutmouth. I don't know if like her business deals are going to be snatched away from her. I don't know if she even has anything to really snatch away from her. But nevertheless, that happened. And, it's something to note that, people are low-key perhaps associating black women with being violent, thus deserving of violence themselves. People in the community, both black men and black women, and people outside the community as well, making jokes about black women's, experiencing violence, and that being, a joke, or them being deserving of violence in some way. They must have brought it on themselves somehow, and this, I think it affects all black women, but it may affect darker skinned black women a little bit more though. But you do see how this all starts to connect with each other though, right? Like everything starts to like circle back around, right? And also, just the FYI, Megan Thee Stallion has referred to herself as a red bone before. Interesting, right? Because I would say Megan Thee Stallion is more like brown skin, But maybe where she's from, maybe that's what's considered a red bone. I don't know. She's from Houston, and I know that Houston they have I believe like a Creole population because of like being in proximity to like close proximity to New Orleans. So I think some like lighter skin and perhaps Creole people from Louisiana kind of migrated over to Houston at one point or another, are continuing to do that. So long story short, I'm not sure even in her neck of the woods she would be considered a red bone. Again, there's, I'm not saying that that's the best thing to be or that's a prize or whatever, but I'm just saying, I just find that a bit interesting that she would refer to herself as a red bone, But possibly she may just do it because she feels like it just may be like a better route to go, But, everyone gets their wake-up call, But you notice, though, the girl in the video, right, she said, like, I'm not that black, though, right? So she also, letting him know that she ain't that black, okay? Shit. Like, don't put me in that category. I'm not that black, right? Which goes to show you that, black women, of all shades, do pick up on how particularly darker skinned black women are viewed and treated, and they kind of try to somewhat distance themselves from it. Some, not all, but some of them try to distance themselves from it, from, the category of being, darker skinned, they may be brown, they not dark though, something like that. But, it just goes to show you that, it kind of just, it's like a trickle down effect, I suppose, right? But I'll get back to this topic though. But yeah, that sort of reminds me of, Jack Black's comment, as well as like a lot of this other stuff sort of brings up, that Kevin Hart joke, right? Like, oh, dark-skinned black women being able to take a punch, light-skinned black women not being able to, more or less, right? So, you know, this isn't the first time that something like this has come up, right? So really, it's not really anything new. It's just a bit more verbalized, right? And it's not being presented as a joke this time around, right? Also, Jackboy, I may have said Jack Black by accident, but Jackboy, he says something in the video about, you know, light-skinned women being afraid to pull up to the projects, right, to get him or whatever. But I'm thinking, okay, why would she have to get you from the projects anyway, though? You know, that's a question that needs to be thrown out there too. But you know, he's saying that, you know, the lighter skinned women, they won't pull up to the projects because, you know, a whole bunch of dudes will be trying to get at them and stuff, and you know, they just don't want to deal with all that, you know, all the dudes trying to holler at them and all that other stuff, you know. But the dark skinned women, they're gonna pull up, and you know, when they pull up, they're gonna be keying the car, breaking out windows, fighting the homeboy. I'm like, why would she really be doing all this stuff? You know, unless she really had a reason to, which would go into, you know, okay, what did you do to trigger her to do something like this? You know, not saying that that's necessarily how you should be responding, you know, but still, it's like, okay, you kind of just making it seem like the darker skinned black woman is just acting like just innately, just because, you know, no reason, you know, no context, right? And I'm sure that there's some light-skinned, ratchet-ass women who will pull up in the projects and bust out some windows, key your car out, cuss you out, you know, throw shit at you and your homeboy. I'm sure there will be some light-skinned women doing that too, you know. But, you know, that's how he views it, though, you know. And he also said, you know, in the video that he likes light-skinned girls, women, because they are so pretty, gentle, soft. You just want to love them so much, right? So I'm guessing that's just, I don't know, that's how he views the light-skinned women, you know. Even if they attitudinal, what if they ratchet, you know? What if you know they are just not good mothers if they have kids? You know, it's something to think about. But yeah, so it sounds like he is, you know, just automatically associating them with being pretty, gentle, soft, and he's making the opposite association with darker skinned women, just based off purely off skin tone, right? So purely, if you ain't know by now, you know the dude is extremely colorist and color struck, right? Right. But he also mentioned in the video, which is I find interesting, is he said dark skinned girls, women, just want to take care of you. But I'm like, well, is that a bad thing though? I guess maybe he wants to be in a position to be the person who is taking care of somebody in a sense, maybe, you know? Although if the darker skinned women weren't taking care of the, you know, husbands, baby daddies, whatever, then I think that would be a strike against them. You know, like, oh, you don't never want to take care of your man. Darker skinned black women. See, that's why black men don't want to deal with you now. Right? But, you know, again, is that really a bad thing? But maybe it is to him. And he also said she's going to get it with you. So I'm thinking I'm translating this as like she is going to help you get to where you're trying to go, help you get to the money, something like that maybe. And he also said she's going to go out there and fight with you. So I'm thinking either he's translating this as she's going to ride or die with you, or either she's going to just attack you. I don't know. It's a bit fake, foggy there. But I think he may be alluding to maybe, oh, darker skinned women are going to be kind of like more so on some, I guess, ride or die partner type of shtick versus the lighter skinned women being more so on, you know, I'm a gentle, soft princess, you type shtick. Maybe. And he also mentioned that, you know, he prefers, he's saying this is a preference, you know. I'm not sure if he's really using the word preference correctly, but he's referring to it as a preference, though. He says that he prefers light-skinned girls because he's too black, and he don't want no black-ass baby, right? So now he's, like, quoting Glock 9, right? He don't want no black-ass baby either, right? And, you know, why is that? You know, I think that's a question that needs to be brought up too. Like, well, why exactly don't you want a really dark-skinned kid or child? Why is that? And he also went on to mention his current girlfriend and that she looks white from a distance. You know, you may think that she's white, but, you know, she light-skinned with green eyes. So, you know, his baby is going to look so, quote-unquote, raw, or look raw as hell. I'm not quite sure I'm not sure what that phrase means. I think he's meaning that basically the kids is gonna look good because, you know, his wife got light skin and green eyes, right? He didn't mention anything about hair texture, but I don't know. And, you know, again, when it comes to genetics are very, like skin tone in genetics especially, you know, it's very unpredictable. Skin tone is a very difficult gene to predict, you know? So we don't know if the kids are going to come out with his skin tone, her skin tone, a mixture of their skin tones, nobody's skin tone, you know? We don't know, you know, but I'm sure that Gilbert Arenas was probably on the same shit that he was. And, you know, look how Gilbert Arenas' daughters look. His daughters has his phenotype, not the phenotype of their mother, Laura Govan, right? And again, that's nothing wrong with that or anything, but I'm just saying he may have just been thinking that same sentiment as well. And, you know, again, look how things turn out. You know, so you just don't know, right? And then the other dude in the video asked, you know, what she mixed with, and Jackboy was like, she mixed with sexy as fuck, you know. So right there, you know, I guess, is that problematic to say? I don't know. But, you know, that's what Jackboy was talking about, you know. Do you think that perhaps there's a link between colorism and violence? Like if a dude is colorist or color struck, he may be a bit more prone to violence in some way, particularly against maybe like women. You know, I personally do think that there is a link between colorism and, you know, sexual perversion. And I think perhaps there may be a link between colorism and violence. You know, I think so. I think that's something that hasn't really been explored as much. As well, the link between colorism and sexual perversion as well has not been explored. But, you know, colorism is very much a complex topic that sometimes I think people just like to boil down to purely just dating preferences. But it's more than that. There's other aspects to colorism as well. Besides just, oh, this person doesn't want to date this person because of skin tone. Oh, well, it's just a preference. Get over it, right? And people are, you know, running around talking about preferences and stuff. And, you know, it's all fine and good for people to have preferences and requirements and mandates and well, I wouldn't say biases, but, it's all good ultimately because, you know, it's you. It's what you want, and you have a right to want what you want. But it's like, well, when a couple of weeks back, when like, what's that? B. Simone, when she expressed her preference, not even a physical preference, but just like more so occupational preference, wanting dudes who were, you know, entrepreneurs and businessmen versus 9 to 5 dudes, people checked her for having a preference like that. Both black men and black women. They weren't just saying, oh, well, who cares? You know, it's not that important. We have bigger issues to talk about than who dates who, right? All of a sudden, it was like all hands on deck. We got a problem. A black woman is out of pocket against black men. We've got to neutralize this situation, right? And that's what happened to an extent, you know. But I will say, I don't think B. Simone did stand by her preference. I will say that, you know. But folks got at her, though. And I think when it comes to the dudes and it's them expressing their preferences, then it's like the energy just ain't there. And it's not like the dudes are even being polite about the preference they're expressing. It's a lot of the dudes are being foul about it, and still the energy is just not there. It's just like, oh well, you know, it shouldn't matter. You know, who cares about what he wants? And the point is, he shouldn't be feeling comfortable enough to really say this. You know, that's a big part of this, where it's like, okay, where would you even get the idea to even feel comfortable expressing this preference? But I suppose that's a good thing, so at least you know what you're dealing with and you know to withdraw support, which you will also be criticized for if you're a black woman, withdrawing support from a dude like this. Like, oh, y'all that insecure? Oh, it shouldn't matter what his preference is. Okay, well, let the preference support. You know, let the preferences support them. You know, why do you expect the black women to support, you know, the darker skinned black women in general, or specifically? you know you know and also, like, when it came to recently with Doja Cat and her having her preference, seemingly at least, I don't remember folks saying, oh, well, you know, who cares? You should still support. You know, it doesn't matter what her preference is. Are you that insecure, black men? I don't remember that being thrown around. And, you know, black women were on board with black men too, at least enough, right? A lot of people didn't like that Doja Cat did not center black men, you know, when it comes to dating choices, right? They may think that she dismisses black men altogether, or either they just think that she is supposed to center black men in her dating choices, not non-black men. You know, and I think this ultimately just circles back to coddling. You know, black women and just the black community in general, it does coddle black men a lot. You know, especially darker skinned black men very much are coddled a lot in the black community, to the point where it may be crippling black men to an extent. And again, black women participate in this, but also black men participate in this to an extent too. It's like a community thing. So I won't put the blame solely on black women, but I do think that they share part of the blame. But for some reason, black people, black women especially, seem to not just want to let black men receive like criticism, or they don't want to see black men being hurt, you know. And to an extent, I can understand not wanting to see people you care about being hurt, right? But on the other hand, it's like, there is a quote in the Bible that says something to the effect of, spare the rod, spoil the child, right? And I think in this situation, that's sort of what's happening, where it's like, because folks just want to jump in so much and, spare the rod when it comes to black men are becoming spoiled in a sense, right? So that when it's time for real manhood, you don't really see it coming through as strongly as it should, because it's just they've been spoiled so damn much. And to the brothers who listening to this, if it don't apply, let the shit fly. All right. If I ain't talking about you, I ain't talking about you. All right. But I've done a video about this as well that I'll link in the description. And it's pretty much kind of just explores darker skinned black men who seek out lighter skinned black women, and sort of just explore that dynamic and sort of, elaborates on some things. If you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description to that video. But one more thing I want to talk about before I get off is the lighter skinned black women who may perhaps encounter a dude like Jack Black at one point or another. And my advice to you is to run for the hills and avoid men like that like the plague. And a couple, yeah, maybe like a little bit, who will just, turn the other way and keep it pushing. But there's some that may entertain the idea. Either, well, maybe, well, or either, oh, I don't care, I ain't dark skinned. It don't apply to me. But, just let me tell you how this is going to play out, all right? So the colorist dude, Jack Black, is going to get his prize light skin trophy, okay? But somewhere along the way, he's going to become disappointed, and then that disappointment is going to lead to anger, because he thought that him obtaining this grand light skin trophy was going to make life perfect for him. That, he was just going to achieve nirvana because, he got a light skinned chick, right? And, a bit of a sidebar here, that's not fair to the lighter skinned women, to, have to provide nirvana. But, that's just how it plays out, right? Just like shit ain't fair to the darker skinned women, shit ain't fair to the lighter skinned women either, all right? But, again, he's going to become disappointed, and his disappointment is going to lead to anger, right? So he's going to end up kind of like acting out and lashing out in some way. It may be cheating. He may end up just being unfaithful and having affairs outside of the marriage or relationship. Or it could get violent, where him, taking out his frustration and anger on, the lighter skinned black woman that he is in proximity to, who's his wife or baby mama or whatever, in order to vent his own frustration and anger, because you notice like a lot of these relationships end up going south real quick, right? With the colorist dudes involved, because at the end of the day and all that shit, and I said this before, but when it comes to these dudes, like, they ain't got love for themselves, so they can't give you love because they don't have it to give. So that's what's kind of like ultimately it boils down to. So they can't really give you love since they don't got love to give you. So they give you something else. Hey, like, a nigga can't give you what he don't got to give you. He can't give you something he don't got. All right, he doesn't have. So, yeah, that's pretty much more or less how it plays out, though, right? So he'll probably just move on to the next lighter or brighter chick or whatever, right? And or get violent, right? But I've said enough for the moment. Which, tell me what you think. Let me know in the comment section, right? Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.